Hello and welcome to the latest in my series of YouTube videos in which I explore the biographies and backstories of the characters from the Pailtoy range of Action Force toys released in 1983 and 1984. Please have a look at my earlier videos in which I go into some detail as to the history of Pailtoy and Action Force. In this video I'm going to look at the enemy team's Shadow Track driver, codenamed Red Vulture. The Red Vulture figure was supplied with the enemy team's Shadow Track vehicle. The Red Vulture figure was the same design as a Red Shadow, the difference being that Red Vulture had black driving gloves. Red Vulture's data file states his real name and birthplace are unknown. His primary military speciality is combat driving, and his secondary military speciality is infantry. His history reads: ex-getaway driver for Paris gang. Ability to repair any machine after a breakdown. Explosives expert and familiar with all handguns ever produced. His tagline states, Red Vulture is completely without mercy. Does not have any friends. We first see a Shadow Track in the story Action Force, which featured in Battle Comic before it became Battle Action Force. Red Vulture isn't specifically named, so we don't know for certain he was driving it on this occasion. His first named appearance is in the mini-comic story Desert Victory, in which he and other Shadow Track drivers attempt to ambush a Z-Force Jeep. The Jeep driver brakes just before it reaches some quicksand, and all the Shadow Tracks hurtle into it. All except for Red Vulture, who survives because of his superior driving skills. We then see him in a story called Attack, in which Baron Ironblood amasses a team to attack a South American army base to steal supplies and equipment from a local army. During the battle, Red Vulture's Shadow Track finds itself caught between a helicopter and a tank, which both open fire at the same time. Red Vulture swerves the Shadow Track at the last moment to avoid the missiles, and causes the destruction of the local army vehicles. But another explosion causes the Shadow Track to overturn, and Red Vulture is at the mercy of local soldiers. His colleague, the Black Major, is feigning death though, and he and Red Vulture fire their way out of trouble. Everything appears to be going in their favour, but other Red Shadow units need their assistance. Red Vulture drives the Black Major to other pockets of fighting, and the battle finally seems to be won. But at the point of victory, undercover SAS Force troopers identify themselves, and Baron Ironblood is at their mercy. Red Vulture takes out the troopers though and saves his master's life, before an SAS Force bomb explodes, destroying any booty Ironblood hoped to steal. The Shadow Track vehicle appears in numerous further Battle Action Force stories, but on these occasions Red Vulture isn't a named character. He does get mentioned and appears briefly in the Z-Force adventure entitled Codename Tracker. In the story, an Action Force satellite malfunctions and falls to Earth, and Z-Force and the Red Shadows race to reach it first. Two peasants stumble on the wreckage, only for Red Vulture to murder them in cold blood. He recovers the satellite in his Shadow Track, and orders the ruthless destruction of a local village. Red Vulture has another even briefer appearance in the story Operation Ironblood, in which he assists a Black Major in rescuing Baron Ironblood after he is captured by Action Force. He further appears in a combat file called SAS Ambush, in which he battles with an SAS Force Hawk helicopter. In the overall Battle Action Force storyline, Ironblood eventually betrays the Red Shadows and reinvents himself as Cobra Commander, the head of the Cobra terrorist group. Red Shadow bases across the world are attacked by Action Force, and many Shadows are either killed or captured. Red Vulture's fate is not revealed until the events of the epic story Revenge of the Red Shadows. In the story, the Black Major attempts to locate his lost Red Shadow comrades. The Major hears of the new Cobra organisation, but is unaware that Ironblood has betrayed the Red Shadows and is now Cobra Commander. The Major further learns that Vulture is in a secure Paris hospital, where he and other Shadows are undergoing deprogramming. Disguising himself as a member of hospital staff, the Major manages to gain entry and locates Red Vulture. Vulture is in a deep trance though, but the Major manages to snap him out of it by shouting the Red Shadow battle cry, "Blood for the Baron!" Red Vulture and the other hospitalised French shadows are eventually liberated, along with red shadows detained all across Europe. During these liberations, the Major infiltrates an Action Force computer and learns of a mission to ambush Cobra forces in India. So the Black Major decides to send the Red Shadows to the subcontinent to meet both Action Force and Cobra on the field of battle. During the fighting, the Major comes face to face with Cobra Commander and recognises his voice. Taking advantage of the Black Major's surprise, Cobra Commander manages to blind his former second in command before making good his escape. Red Vulture drives towards the Black Major and picks him up before they too make a retreat from the fighting. The delirious Major explains to Vulture that Cobra Commander is in fact their former leader Baron Ironblood. Red Vulture and his comrade Red Laser can scarcely believe what they are hearing and head for a rendezvous with other shadows. The Black Major and the Ragtag Shadows feature in many other fantastic stories, but we don't see Red Vulture again. I think that's a shame, as there was definitely room for him in these stories, and it would have been interesting to see his story arc come to a more satisfying conclusion. So that's the end of my latest Action Force biography. If you enjoyed this video, then please subscribe to the channel and hit the like button. Goodbye for now, and thanks for watching.